principles of the plan. I'm sort of here to speak about the tree buffering and tree protection. And I will say that we had a meeting yesterday that at least has, I think ironed out a lot of that. But I do want to show you what's there so you kind of understand it. And I did a quick PowerPoint. Okay, so my whole point is that we, as a community, and me as an individual neighbor, Spring Valley Golf Course is represented, and the Center Point Church is represented here as well, and we're really the only neighbors at the moment, that we should be trying to produce buffering and screening for subdivisions like this, rather than this. And those are next to each other on Leestown Road. Same thing, Leestown Road, or that which is on Georgetown Road. This is the property. This is going down Greendale. That's Sanders Road turning to the right. So you can see there's a lot of pretty prominent old mature trees. This is driving down Sandersville Road. A lot of mature trees, etc. A bunch. They're from 2-inch caliper to a foot and a half around. And the majority of all I'm asking about, because I understand progress has to happen. I'm talking about the perimeter trees. I'd love to see other trees saved. That'd be great if that's part of it. But I think the choice for us is to save perimeter trees. This is just continuing to go down Sandersville Road. The end of the property is right there, but just before that Hillmeyer sign. And all I'm trying to point out is that there's a lot of quality trees. These are some trees that further down that were planted by me on Stephen Hillemeyer's property, just further down Sandersville Road. 12-foot trees cost less than $100 a piece, and this is what I'm suggesting for additional screening to ultimately have the kind of result that you saw. On June 14th, I asked Dave Leonard to come out and look at it, and he just very quickly identified a whole lot of trees. I'm not a tree nut saying save every single tree. I know there's bad trees, etc. I don't know if I can, just kind of wanted to be able to do that video or not. Takes a minute and a half. It's just seeing the property, because he just identified, I think there are hundreds. That's fine, we don't need to do it. That's fine. There are hundreds, if not 500, or I doubt there's 1,000, but there's between 200 and 900 trees that probably could be saved within a 10 or 20 foot perimeter from that rock wall fence, which is already going to be saved. And everybody's talking about it. All the staff has been helpful. Mr. Martin's explained a lot to me. I've learned a lot. Tim Query has explained a lot. But there is a tree protection standard, and we're trying to create significant urban aesthetic, and I think that's what I'm here asking for. Lexington is a tree city since 2016, and we're trying to increase it. The canopy, which is all on the plan, and I think working together we can accomplish this. There's national tree benefit calculators on all the website. The stormwater impact is pretty significant because Spring Valley Golf Course was worried about that. I think most of those, or all of those concerns have generally been addressed, but keeping those trees only helps that, and planting other trees will help it. There's energy benefits, carbon monoxide, and the biggest one is that this is, in my point, a joint venture. Anything I'm asking is going to help the value of the property. It's, any study you find says that if you have trees on it, it's going to go from 3% to 20% value. And when you've got, according to the price point, 83% of the realtors say that, or 98%. So I'm hoping we're in the higher price point, but if we're not, we're still going to make those lots worth more. So really all I'm asking is that we get an assessment. We've talked about who that should be. They've suggested someone else who I think we probably agree on a valid third party to assess the trees, save the legitimate trees. I understand a pear is not a favored tree anymore, but there's so many significant trees if you drive down there. I wish you could see the video, but it's worth a drive down that. In the process of saving these trees, not to allow the proposed water basins, which, this plan provides a lot of, this plan provides an awfully good amount of opportunity for green screen, because there's already existing trees all here, and then you've got all this green space, and you've got all this green space. The only point where there was a question, for me is, hey, there's not enough room here. There's 14 feet. We talked about it, and I believe you'll hear that, we've agreed to add 10 more feet to allow for green screen to be planted. It's a golden opportunity. I don't want to forget Greendale Road, because there's tons of trees here as well. This is, I'm told, a 20-foot perimeter, whereas this was only 14. So the belief is that you could save all those trees as well. Not all, most. So in a discussion with Mr. Query this morning, because I really didn't know this, one of the questions was, how do you make this happen? We've agreed in principle I'm willing to put up half the cost of the evergreens that I showed for all along Sandersville to fill in. So, those cost about $100 a piece. So my theory is I can invest between $5,000 and $10,000 and add 100 plus trees. I think it's worth it, because they'll pay half, I'll pay half. I've talked to Stephen Hillemeyer, who is a neighbor. He's willing to not do it for free, but to do at a very discounted price the plantings of those additional evergreens. So I think the idea is there, and the only thing that's missing, and Tim pointed it out, is that he doesn't have any power. He can't stop the bur oaks you talked about going down or anything else. If you put it in a tree protection plan, if you make the perimeter trees tree protected, and because Stephen Hillmeyer has planted a lot of trees there that are basically all great buffer, then everybody's working together. You all have some power over it as well. And, I think it's a great joint venture of the community, basically. And we end up with the right result. So what I've asked for is the additional 10 feet, planting the green screen, and underground utilities. You have to be careful that the utilities are on the inside so they don't get all those trees, because you can easily ruin a lot of trees, and I've planted a lot of trees in my life. And the other thing is the sidewalks and curbs that you avoid. On Sandersville, you only have about 10 houses where that's even an issue because of all that additional green space. So that shouldn't be very hard. When you get that additional space, you keep everything inside. Because all I'm asking for is that at the end of the day, we all end up with that versus that. And that's my ask. The tree preservation plan, protection plan being probably the key one of it. And we've agreed on the rest.
Thank you, Mr. Coffin. Any questions for Mr. Coffin? Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else like to speak on this plan? Yes, no, yes. Good afternoon. My name is Brian Bolton. I'm the pastor at Center Point Christian Church on Greendale Road. And I just want to say, along with Doug, I agree with what he's talking about with the green space concerns. We've been out in that area for about 12 years and built a church about 6 years ago. So I've seen the development go over the last several years, seen the neighborhoods come in. We welcome the neighborhoods, but we've also seen some of the neighborhoods, like Doug's pointed out, where some of the green space just doesn't seem like it was cared for as much. It's a beautiful area of town. A lot of people don't live out there, don't realize how beautiful it is, and so we'd like to be able to keep that and be able to stand with that. One of my concerns is the development of traffic, and we were discussing just briefly, just trying to understand that as Greendale Road is developed, Citation Road's open. Mr. Martin said there's not been traffic studies yet. I'm concerned about the traffic that's increased on Greendale Road, or seems to. I'm a preacher, I don't know what traffic studies say, but it seems like there's been an increase on Greendale Road since citation has opened, because people learn they can hit citation, go to Greendale Road, and now we're adding in more neighborhoods in there. Better go here and point it out. Near this corner down here of Greendale and Sandersville Road, it's not been developed and improved yet. And my understanding is that's slated to be improved when the neighborhood across the street gets developed. But we're going to be adding 384 homes, plus there's development of some apartments and so forth down at this end. This road, traffic-wise, is becoming very dangerous. And I don't know if we can do anything sooner than waiting until this neighborhood's developed, or is there something that can be considered about that? Because the traffic is great. Right now, they're actually recovering that road. And they have widened it out just slightly, maybe a foot or two, and they've actually put blacktop that is curving around telephone poles because of how narrow it is. And so I think it should be looked at and be considered in this development. And we have telephone poles that are at the edge of blacktop roads. And so our concern is that. My concern is the trees being taken down. It was 2 weeks ago on July 1st when we were sitting in our offices and said, why are trees coming down? Because we know this meeting's been taking place, and Doug, I messaged him and said, let me take a couple of videos, but trees are coming down. And so we like the preservation idea that we can have an agreement that says, hey, let's keep these trees and leave them for the beautification in a way that happens that benefits all the neighbors and the development of that new community. So just wanted to take a couple of minutes and say, I stand and agree with Doug, and we just want to keep the beauty of that area, that side of town. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else that'd like to speak on this? If not, before I move on to others, Mr. Query, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Good afternoon. Having talked to both Mr. Coffin yesterday at tree board meeting and just briefly with the petitioner concerning the issue of a tree protection area along Greendale Road and Sandersville Road. Generally speaking, tree protection areas don't border public right-of-way areas, and I think that's probably why the petitioner is not showing tree protection along those two areas. I think the solution here is to put a note on the plan to note the treatment of the stone walls and the preservation of the trees along Sandersville Road and Greendale Hills, or Greendale Road. Given that there may be improvements in the future that have to be made to those public right-of-ways, it would probably then prohibit the petitioner, the developer, from making improvements if we denote those as tree protection areas. I hope that makes sense. But generally speaking, we don't ever see tree protection areas along road frontages. I think the petitioner is willing to craft a note to place on the plan that will suffice for the tree protection areas along Greendale and Sandersville Road. Is that correct? And Mr. Coffin, that should help with the preservation of the stone walls and the trees along Greendale and Sandersville Road. As far as the tree removals on this property recently, that happened over the 4th of July holidays. And I actually was out of town during that time and then found out later and was contacted by the developer about that particular situation. Yes, on a previous development plan, that area was not shown as a tree protection area. Talking with staff and our Division of Engineering, there was not a grading permit issued for any land disturbance to be occurring on this property in the meantime. I'm not sure exactly if it was an oversight on a contractor's behalf. I'm not sure what happened. At technical review, I think staff had actually talked a little bit about trying to denote this area as a not only the tree protection